Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be talking about compound interest and exponential increase and decrease. So compound interest also comes under the heading of interest only, but there's a slight difference between simple interest and compound interest. So before watching this video about compound interest, make sure you have watched my previous video about simple interest as well. And before going into the details of compound interest and how compound interest formula is used, we first need to know the basic difference between simple interest and compound interest. So first we are looking at the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Okay, so let's pick up this scenario that we have this we have, let's say, $1,000 to be invested, and for this $1,000 to be invested, we have the time of 3 years, let's say, and principal $1,000 time 3 years, and then the rate for simple interest, we'd say that the rate is 10% per year. And for compound interest, again, the rate is 10% only, but the difference of statement would be rate of 10% compounded annually. So this one single statement differentiates the whole scenario. In case of simple interest, what will happen is if I might look at the breakup of all 3 years, because this whole situation is about 3 years. So let's look for all the 3 years one by one. The first year, if you have to calculate for the first year, it's simply the 10% of $1,000. Because 10% per year means if you have to calculate the simple interest here, principal into rate into time upon 100, that would simply be principal, which is 1,000, rate is 10, time is 1 upon 100. So two zeros take on two zeros, and we are left with $100 only. So after the end of first year, the interest charge is $100. We look for the second year. The simple interest is again PRT upon 100. But now for this PRT upon 100, principal still remains the same. What was initially invested for the second year also, principal remains the same. So principal is still the same, 1,000. Rate is still the same, 10. Time is 1 year upon 100. And you again get a $100. And same goes for third year. If you calculate it for third year, you'll get the same simple interest as $100. So for all 3 years, we are getting the simple interest same, $100, $100, $100. And the accumulation of all these 3 years interest, the total simple interest, it would be 100 plus 100 plus 100. And what you're getting in the end is $300. Okay, so $300 is the simple interest earned in case of the concept of simple interest. Now let's have a look at this case of compound interest. So for the first year, if you have to calculate the interest, if you have to calculate the interest. So let's say we are using this PRT upon 100 only, just for the time being. I am saying just for the time being, we are calculating this interest. So P being the principal, it's 1000. Rate, it's 10 times 1 upon 100, and we'd get this as $100 only. This was the interest earned after the first year. Now second year. So second year, if you have to calculate the interest, now this is where things would get a bit different. Unlike the case of simple interest, principal remains same for every single year or for every single period, if I may say in general terms. But in case of compound interest, the principal keeps on changing after every compounding period. Here it says compounded annually. The question says compounded annually. That means compounded annually means that the principal would be changing after every 1 year. So in this case, the new principal for the second year would be the initial principal, which was 1000, plus this $100 which was added to it. So 1000, which was the initial principal, plus the simple interest which was earned after first year. So we get this as 1100. That means for the second year, principal will now change to 1100. So $1100, rate 10, time 1 year upon 100. And if we may calculate this, we'd get this as 2 zeros, take on 2 zeros, 11 into 10. We're getting this as 110. This was for the second year. And now same cycle would be repeated for the third year. For the third year, now the principal would be the second year's principal, which was 1100, because second year principal was taken as 1100, plus the interest earned after the second year, which was 110. So the new principal for the third year would be 1100 plus 110, and this gives us 1210. And the interest to be calculated here, it would be 1210 into 10 into 1 upon 100. So 2 zeros take on 2 zeros, and we are getting this as 121. So this is where the actual difference comes in. For simple interest, the principal throughout remains same. And simple interest, the interest earned after every year or after every period, this also remains same, 100. But in case of compound interest, principal keeps on changing. $1000, 1100, and then 1210. And so do the interest. After first year, interest was 100. After second year, interest was 110. After third year, the interest earned is 121. So that means the total interest earned after 3 years, that would be the interest for the 3 separate years, which is 100 plus 110 plus 121, and that gives us 100 plus 110 plus 121, and we are getting the 331. Now you can clearly see that compound interest in the end gives us more value, more return, more earning. So this is the reason why banks always charges compound interest. This was just exercise was just to explain you the difference between the two scenarios, simple interest and compound interest. However, in exams or in practices, you're not supposed to follow this method. We have this one simple formula which helps us in calculating the simple interest in the total amount. And the formula to be used is, yeah, and the formula to be used is this. A is the total amount. Please be careful. Unlike the simple interest formula, it was simple interest calculated first and then the total amount. Here, using this formula, you would be calculating a total amount first. P is the principal, R is the percentage rate, N is the number of interest payments made in 1 year. Now, number of interest payments or number of compoundings, either it's a number of interest payments or it's a number of compoundings. They both mean the same thing. So usually there are compoundings are usually, if I say compoundings, then they are usually monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, yearly, and sometimes daily as well. So number of compoundings means is that this principal keeps on changing after every compounding year. And T represents the overall time period in years. So T has to be in years. Okay. So yeah. And then if you have to calculate the interest in the end, this was the formula for the total amount. But if you are interested in calculating the interest amount only, so interest would be simply a difference of the total amount minus the principal. This is how you calculate the interest amount. After calculating the total amount, you subtract principal from the total amount to calculate the compound interest. Okay, so these are the two important formulas to be remembered for solving the question. I may highlight this and this. Okay, let's move on. Now, in this very first example, the question says a bank pays interest of 9% on money in deposit accounts. Carm puts $2,000 in the bank. How much does she has after 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years? All right, so interest is 9%. That means the rate we are having here is 9%. Carme puts $2,000. Puts $2,000 means that this principal invested is $2,000. How much she has after 1 year? After 1 year, after 1 year. After 1 year means they're talking about the total amount in her account. The total amount in her account is A is equals to principal into 1 plus R upon 100 into N power N into T. Now, in this particular question, there aren't any multiple compoundings in a year. As it says, it's about 1 year only, and bank pays 9%. So if the compounding is not defined, then by default it's per year. So 9%, you can take this as 9% per year. So by default, if the number of compoundings or number of payments are not defined, you can take the number of payment as one payment per year. So in this case, since number of compoundings and number of payments are not defined, we'll take n as 1 only. Okay, so using this formula, A is equals to P, the principal, this is 2000. 1 plus rate is 9 upon 100 into 1, because the number of compoundings are not defined or the number of payments per year are not defined. So n is 1 power n into t. So 1 into 1. So amount after first year, we are getting this as 1 plus 9 divided by 100. Multiply by 2000. So you're getting this as 2180. So 2180 is the total amount in the bank after 1 year. Moving on, let's solve part B. Part B, it's about 2 years. So the only difference here, it's t is equals to 2 and still remains 1 because number of compoundings in a year is 1. And formula to be used, it's A is equals to P, the principal, which is 2000, 1 plus R, the rate, it is 9 upon 100 into 1 whole power 1 into 2. We are getting this total amount as 1 plus 0.09 power 2 multiplied by 2000. 2376.2. 2376.2. So after 2 years, total amount in the bank, it's 2376.2. Part C. Time, it's now 3 years. Number of compounding is still 1. So A, it's equals to 2000, 1 plus 9 upon 100 power 1 into 3. Now we're getting this amount as 1 plus 0.09 raised to the power 3 multiplied by 2000. So 2590. .06. So yeah, this is how we calculate the total amount or the total compounded amount. Moving on for the next example. Here it says a shipping company borrows $70 million. Borrows 70 million. So borrows means they are in a shortfall or they need an investment. So principal for us would be 70 million, which is 70,000,000. At 5% annual compound interest, 5% annual compound interest. So annual compound interest, that means n is equal to 1 here. Okay. Because annual compound interest means that the compoundings in a year is 1 only. After every single year, the principal would be changing or the compounding would be done. So n is equals to 1. Rate is equals to 5%. And it says if it repays the debt after 3 years, so time is equal to 3 years. How much interest will the company pay? They are only asking about the interest. So interest, it's to be found. We cannot, for compound interest, we cannot go for the interest calculation directly. First, we have to calculate the total compounded amount and then only we can calculate the interest charged or interest earned. So total amount it's A is equals to principal 1 plus R upon 100 into N whole power N into T. So P, the principal here, it is 70 million. One plus rate here, it is 5 upon 100 and it into 1 only, whole power. 3 years means 3 into 1. Now we may use the calculator here. It would be 1 plus 0.05 raised to the power 3 multiplied by 7. We're getting this as 810 33750 33750. Okay, so this is the total amount, but we are interested in only finding the interest. So interest is the difference between the total compounded amount and the principal. So total compounded amount and the principal. Total compounded amount, it's 810333750 minus the principal, which is 70000000. So minus 70, and we are getting this as 10,000 33750. We are getting this as 10 lakh 33,750 or 1,033,000. So this is the interest earned or interest charged. In this case, it is interest charged by the company. Okay, let's move on. We have this another example. Now, in this particular question, it says find the compound interest paid on a loan of $600 for 3 years at an APR. APR is annual percentage rate of 5% if the interest is calculated every 3 months. Every 3 months. Now, this is very important statement here. Every 3 months. Every 3 months means interest amount is to be paid after every 3 months. That means the compounding is done after every 3 months. Compounding being done after every 3 months means n in this case is equal to 3. No, sorry. After 3 months means we have to calculate this for a year. So after 3 months means after every quarter, and after every quarter means n in this case would be 4. Because there are 4 quarters of 3 months in a year. We have to look with reference to a year that how many times in a year this compounding is being done. So n is equal to 4, and loan was principal, which is $600. Time, it is 3 years, and rate, it is 5%. So the total amount is equals to principal 1 plus R upon 100 into N whole power N into T. The principal in this case, it's 600. 1 plus R, it is 5 upon 100 into 4 whole power 4 into 3. We're getting this as, let me calculate this, 5 divided by 400 plus 1 raised to the power 12 multiplied by 600. We're getting this as 696.45. So 696.45. And this question was about finding the compound interest. So compound interest, it would be total amount minus the principal. Total amount was 696.45 minus 600. We'll get this as $96.5. A few more tips about the compounding. Compoundings or payments in a year. So if it says compounded annually, then in this case n is equal to 1. If it says compounded semi-annually, then there are two semi-annuals in a year, so n would be 2. If it says compounded quarterly, so compounded quarterly, n would be equals to, since there are 4 quarters in a year, n would be equals to 4. If it says compounded monthly, in a year there are 12 months, so n in this case would be 12. And if it says compounded daily, so daily means there are 365 days in a year, so n is equal to 365 now. Because these are few important terms about compounding or interest calculated after every period. So these are the n's value to be taken.